Hi everyone, Madonna here. Day 4 today of my very low calorie part of the HCG. So far my hunger is really under control as long as I am drinking plenty of water, and obviously on HCG getting that fluid in is really crucial. Now, one of the things I wanted to chat about today before going through today's bioimpedance screening is the fact that a lot of times on this planet, our hunger and thirst mechanisms get out of balance. Now, both of those systems of the body have a control through the hypothalamus in the brain. And because the HCG homeopathic drops work on the hypothalamus to release brown fat, my tip of the day is really about one of the other wonderful things about HCG is that you get a full hypothalamic reset when you do HCG properly. So at this stage, like I said early on in the piece, I don't know how motivated I'm going to be. I just really want to stop being a fatty boomba. So I'll sort of see how long I can do it and then try to maintain everything. And I'll be honest with you through the process to see how I go. Because, I love my weekends. I love my binge days. I love my drinks at nighttime. I'm a naughty naturopath. So to do the HCG hypothalamic reset needs really strict adherence for 23 to 42 days. Somewhere in there, it can be anywhere from 23 to 42 days. But it really is a maximum of 6 weeks on the very low calorie diet. Otherwise, you start losing muscle mass. That's really dangerous. But then you can do a minimum of 3 weeks on consolidation. Then you can kick back into 23 to 42 days again on the HCG drops. But when you finish and you're stopping for good, you need to do the same number of days. Just say you do 4 weeks in the last round on the very low calorie diet. You then need to do 4 weeks of consolidation in your last part of it. So you can mix and match it a little bit, depending on what you've got going on. But for the full hypothalamic reset, you need to do the full 23 to 42 days plus a minimum of 23 to 42 days of consolidation. If you don't do that process, you do not get the hypothalamic reset. Now, the hypothalamus actually has control over your thirst and hunger. And how often do we get hungry and we go straight to the fridge, we open it up, we have a look, we see what we want, we open the cupboard, we open it up, we see what we want, and it's 6 hours later that we go, darn, didn't drink any water today. And I know it happens to me because sometimes I go client, and because I'm so busy, it's amazing. Sometimes I'll get to the end of the day and I'll go, darn, I don't think I had a single glass of water today. And that's really, really bad for us. It screws up our metabolism. So that's sort of my little tip on the hypothalamus, because one of the things that really attracted me to the HCG diet once I read Pounds and Inches, actually I'll try to add that too. I'll go find a copy of it and I'll put it in the notes at this video. So I'll intend to do that. Please tell me if I haven't done it. It's actually written from Dr. Simeon's perspective, and he died like 45, 48 years ago or something like that now, maybe 50. But basically, he spent 20 years researching this, and he put together Pounds and Inches to help doctors take people through the process. Now, once again, in Pounds and Inches, he's talking about the homeopathic, no, he's not. He's talking about the HCG injections, which went underneath the tongue. So when he's talking about that, just replace it in your mind for the HCG drops, 10 drops 3 times a day, separated through the day. So that's the way I do it. And he found that it works best on the 500 calorie diet. And he started with 1,000 and then he started lowering it with the injections until he found that people were consistently losing weight. And he found that people were less hungry on HCG when they were down around that 450 to 500 calories. And the reason for that is that he found was that when you're up over 500 calories, so just say you eat an extra apple in the day, so an extra 70, 80 calories, or you eat an extra bit of steak, 200 calories, or, you just eat some extra, that stops the HCG drops from releasing brown fat So therefore, you're not getting the extra calories in your bloodstream from the brown fat. So when you don't take your homeopathic drops 3 times a day, set your phone, 6, 12, 6 or 7, 1, 7. And then it doesn't matter when you eat, but it needs to be at least 20 to 30 minutes away from the homeopathics. Simple. And because of intermittent fasting, I think I tend to, just before lunch, in the gap between those two people, I tend to quickly take my 10 drops so that an hour later when I kick into lunchtime, I've already taken my drops an hour before. People think that it needs to be 20 to 30 minutes away from food and it's got something to do with the food. The drops have nothing to do with the food. It's more that they need to be regular, because every time you take the drops, you're releasing some brown fat. That's releasing the 1,500-ish calories out into the bloodstream so that you're not starving. Okay? So it's not, and people think it's an appetite suppressant. It's not an appetite suppressant. It's because it's giving you the calories to get through the day that you're not hungry. So therefore, if you're starving on HCG, the drops aren't working. So what did I say yesterday? Make sure it's called trituration. So make sure you give them a good shake and see if you can wake up the energy of those homeopathics again. Feels silly? It's good for your muscles, good for your vajubittas, in under your arms. But, sort of trust that and get them working again. But it can be that your tummy fat is releasing heaps of insulin as well. So that can also make you hungry. So therefore, something with, say, chromium and vanadium, magnesium, some formula like that in a tablet form, not powders. Powders often have too many calories, but something like that to really keep that blood sugar nice and balanced. One of the things when my clients are getting the real insulin hunger, one of the things that's one of my faves is Chromium Plus. And Chromium Plus has a combination of chromium, alpha-lipoic acid, inositol, zinc glucarate, and vanadium. So you need vanadium and chromium to make your insulin. If you are releasing blood sugar from your tummy fat out into the bloodstream, you're not binding it, you're not getting it out, you're going to be starving. So, as you are, because insulin is a fat-storing hormone, and it's also, so it makes you store fat. When we're eating foods that spike our insulin, you're going to be laying down fat. So as we are releasing insulin from the bloodstream, from the tummy fat, you've also got to get it out of the system as quickly as possible, which is why you've got to get in there and make sure you're drinking plenty of water, keep that moving. If you've got access to saunas, hot baths, that sort of thing, do them. Magnesium, Epsom salts in the bathtub to help to pull out some toxins. Just do dry skin brushing, get that lymphatic system moving. So whatever you can do to help you detox at the same time. Okay? So, okay, I'm going to go to part 2 because that ended up being a long one, and then I'll talk through my next bioimpedance screening. Chat in a sec.